Whether you love it or loathe it, jury service is a civil duty for all Australians. Yet, up until now, the law had closed its doors to the participation of the deaf community.
Drisana Levitzke-Gray has become only the first deaf Australian to participate in jury service. For more on this milestone, we were joined earlier by her and her Auslan interpreter, Christy Philippich. Drisana, thanks for joining us this morning. Great to have you both. Now, you're only 20 years old. What was it about doing jury duty that made you feel quite passionate about getting involved in this?
Well, really, like any other person who receives the summons to do jury duty, I thought that was great. I really felt proud to have been chosen to be involved, and as the first deaf person to hopefully get through. In the past, deaf people who had asked for an Auslan interpreter were refused and were not allowed to be on the jury. But at the same time, I also felt quite disappointed because it's 2014, and for it to have taken that long for a deaf person simply to get through the initial stages of jury duty. I'm the 5th generation of deaf people in my family, and all of the women in my family have lobbied really hard for the last 5 generations, and we still have these barriers today. So hopefully things will start to change.
You just mentioned, of course, it's 2014 and it is time for change. Courts in the US and New Zealand already have deaf citizens participating in jury service. Why do you think Australia hasn't followed suit?
Well, in courts there's been the common law, and the common law has stated that you can't have the 13th person or a stranger, a non-jury person involved in the jury deliberations, and it's felt that that person will somehow taint the jury deliberations that are occurring. And so, unfortunately, the interpreter has been seen as a 13th person. However, that doesn't actually understand the interpreter's role, and that the interpreters, as professionals, have a code of conduct involving things such as impartiality and confidentiality. So there needs to be a lot more awareness about the role of interpreters. So, for example, this interview today is a really great way that we can get that awareness out about the use of professional interpreters in various settings, including court.
Yeah, I guess it's not something that a lot of us think about, the exclusion of deaf people from things like jury duty. What are some things in 2014 you're still seeing that you, as a member of the deaf community, are being excluded from?
Oh, there's plenty of other barriers that we have. I think at the moment what we really need to focus on is working together and that awareness. And that never stops, really, that constant advocating.
It is fantastic that finally we've managed to get you on board in terms of participating in jury service. Do you think we're going to see an across-the-board change now that you've had this breakthrough?
I would love to say yes, there definitely will be change. However, I think the important thing is to focus on this small win, which is a very small win just for WA, and that's just one step for the rest of the deaf community. And internationally as well, there are many countries where deaf people can't participate. So I think that we need to focus on research. So currently Jemina Napier and David Spencer are doing some research. They did some in 2006 and 2008, and they said that there was absolutely no negative impact by having an interpreter involved in jury deliberations. And in 2013 there was some more research done by Jemina Napier that said that deaf people and hearing people during jury deliberations were both equally confused by what was going on, and that having an interpreter wasn't a disadvantage. So I think once again it's that education that we need to provide, and the awareness backed by the research that we have.
Drisana, well, you're certainly helping out with this awareness. So we thank you for your time this morning. You're doing excellent work. And Christy, of course, thanks for your help as well.
Thank you.